right now. He's not dependable. He's not reliable. And when he gets on the pitch, he looks completely lost. He's not up to the calibre of a top-end Championship side or even a lower-end Premier League side. Right. Well, guys, with only 5 weeks left until the January transfer window, I thought I'd do a comprehensive review of where Leeds United need to go in this window. We're going to be breaking down player sales. We're going to be breaking down as well incomings and where Leeds United need to be really, really specific in the strategic moves going into this January. Stay with me. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get into it. Well, guys, let's be brutally honest. Leeds United are doing really, really well at the minute. Third in the division. Is the expectation a little bit higher than third with the squad depth and the plethora that Daniel Farke has at his disposal? I would say yes. Should we be performing at an average of 2 points plus per game? I'd suggest yes. Should Leeds United be doing a little bit better than what we are doing now as summary and conclusion? I probably think so, but we're only a said way into the season, so we've got a little bit to go, and in the January window, this is where Leeds United can drastically improve, but the strengths are there for all to see. You've got Ethan Ampadu, you've got Elia Gruev, Joe Rothwell and Al Tanaka are performing at the same defensive level as Ampadu and Gruev were at the beginning of the season, and obviously their output going forward is much better, much more of a threat, much more enhanced, and it just shows the depth that Leeds United have recruited in that area is so good. Gilovogi coming in as well, absolutely essential depth as well. So there are strengths in this Leeds United side from back to front. Pascal Strout, Joe Rodon, consistently fit, consistently supporting who goes, who stays, who's cover, who's going forward, who's playing out from the back, who's not. There is a real understanding there. Junior Firpo coming into his own. Jayden Bogle, so underrated this season. Brendan Aronson, second top scorer in the division at this moment in time. Willie Gnonto, stat after stat after stat, backing up his performances this season, and he's not at his peak, and we've still got the likes of Ramazani to come back into the side. So on the face of it, it's all looking pretty rosy. Now, there is a sort of glaring problem, I should say, right now with Leeds United, and it is the output up top. Now, at this moment in time, it's not been as profitable, it's not as beneficial as it could be to Leeds United throughout the season, but the good thing is you're still getting Joel Peru scoring goals, you're still getting Matteo Joseph putting in really, really good performances, just not getting that goal. Now, we're seeing for the Spanish under-21s that Joseph has got 6 goals in 7. The Spanish media are absolutely raving about him. The Spanish national coach has even spoken about him. And why? Because they're almost basing the team essentially around Matteo Joseph, or their style of play enhances his goal scoring ability. And how did they do that? Well, guys, I've mentioned this several times. It's the cutback, it's the byline. And in pre-season, we were doing it all the time. You look at every single goal in pre-season that Matteo Joseph scored, it was essentially a byline cutback. And he's very, very dangerous on that penalty spot. So if Leeds can get back to that style of play, and I'm going to get into how I think we can do that, you're going to get a more profitable, as I mentioned at the start, Matteo Joseph. With Joel Peru, we know his limitations, but what we know as well is he's very, very dangerous in the box at certain states of the game. Now, for me, he's an impact sub for 20-25 minutes. That's been shown by the amount of goals that he scored in comparison to when he started games, but you're still getting goals from Joel Peru. I believe it's 6 this season in 15. But overall, is it enough for your striker? We know Daniel Farke has worked with Timu Pukki before, who consecutively was getting plus 25 goals per season, and he had Emi Buendia behind him doing that. Now, would Timu Pukki be able to do that with Brendan Aronson behind him? There's a question there, because Emi Buendia is a certain type of central attacking midfielder that probably falls into the bracket of Pablo Hernandez. We'll explore that a little bit more in just a little bit. Then we need to get into the financial discussion that might hold Leeds back in January. We do have to discuss that. So as of Wednesday, the 10th of April, 2024, Leeds United say that they were compliant with financial rules in the top 2 tiers, despite a loss of more than 30 million now emerging in their latest accounts, according to Phil Hay. Now, that was obviously on Wednesday, the 10th of April. Now, we heard from Angus Kinnear a couple of days ago at the Supporters Advisory Board meeting that Leeds are well clear, essentially, of the PSR rules, but they've got to be overly cautious. And what do we know going into this period as well? Leeds United have 3 loan spots available, which might ease those sort of PSR limitations a little bit, instead of going out there and buying these permanent transfers, of which we know can cost a pretty penny. What do we know specifically about the profits and sustainability rules? Well, as every other Championship club, Leeds are limited to what they can spend, but this essentially is based on how much Leeds Leeds United lose in the profit and sustainability period. When Leeds United were in the Premier League, we were okay to lose £105 million over a 3-year period. However, after being relegated to the Championship, that dropped to Leeds only being allowed over a 3-year period to lose 84 million over that 3-year period. However, after being relegated to the Championship, that limit dropped to 84 million quid because Championship clubs are allowed to lose less than Premier League clubs. Now, Leeds have also had to adjust their spending by doing 3 key things. Number 1, we've sold significant players in Jorginho Rutter, Crysencio Somerville, Glenn Kamara and Archie Gray, all for very decent profits, especially Archie Gray, which is classified under PSR as pure profit because he's an academy player. Leeds have also significantly reduced their wage bill after letting these players go, which has been a dramatic impact on our financial sheet. And number 3, Leeds also made some additional transfers to bring in those additional funds. This overall means that Leeds United are expected to stay within the 24-25 rules at the end of the season, even though their allowed losses will shrink as time goes further on. Essentially, Leeds are staying within the rules by selling players and cutting costs to avoid those penalty breaks. Okay, so then we move on to the rumoured targets, people, and I'm not going anywhere, and I'm not just going to blast these names out of nowhere. I'm genuinely going to look at specific players of which haven't played that many minutes and will be probably available to Leeds United on a loan, which I think is a little bit more realistic in this January period. Now, in my opinion, where do Leeds United drastically need to improve? Well, for me, it's a goalkeeper and a central attacking midfielder. Now, I'm going to start with the goalkeeper. Do I think we will realistically replace Illan Meslier in this window? No, I don't. Do I think that there is an opportunity for a young, hungry lion to come into this side and push Illan Meslier at 20 years of age? I think there is that option. And I've mentioned previously on the channel who I think should come in for Leeds United in this period is the outstanding goalkeeper at this moment in the Football League, Joe Whitworth at Exeter City. Now, Whitworth is top of the save percentage charts. As I've mentioned before, clean sheets, 9 now. I know a lot of you guys have said to me, Connor, you can't mention clean sheets when you won't give Illan Meslier flowers for that clean sheet basis as well. Completely understood. But when you are top of nearly every single metric and clean sheets, that sort of gives you a broader picture of how good a goalkeeper you are. He has saved Exeter almost 5 goals this season as well. He's been in the academy at Crystal Palace and is still on loan from Crystal Palace as well, so he's grown up in that environment. He understands the elite mentality of a club like Leeds United as well, and I think that is a real signing that we could interrupt. Even though he's on loan at Exeter City, he will be a number 2 to Illan Meslier, and he's going to push him all the way. With Caldalo right now, doesn't look like he's ever going to get a look in, so what is the point? To breed success, you need competition, and this was always thought as well by the great one, Marcelo Bielsa. So that's what I would do with the goalkeeper. Now, when we move on to the central attacking midfield positions, there are so many positions right now, so many players, I should say, who aren't getting minutes. And I think these players are very realistic. We mentioned them in a video the other day. I think they're very realistic when these individuals are looking at maybe getting some minutes, getting their profile a little bit higher. And that is why it is essential that Leeds United, for me, are in the top 2 conversation, because a lot of clubs are going to be looking at these boys. So for me, Julio Enciso at Brighton, what an unbelievable signing that would be. James McAtee, I do think that's a bold option, but it depends on what happens with West Ham and Fulham, who are also interested, so we'll just park that right now. And Ciso, no real rumours surrounding him at this moment in time. A wonderful player, was touted around about a year ago to be a world-class player, was tearing it up in the Premier League, a goal against Chelsea, which was arguably goal of the season, and someone who needs minutes right now. For a promotion-bound Leeds United, what a signing that would be. Number 2, Phil Billing. Done it at this division before, is a physical specimen, a real athlete, can play defensive midfield, central midfield and central attacking midfield. That'd be a really nice addition. David Brooks, flair, balance, exuberance. Someone who's done it in this division again before. And listen, he was in that Southampton team last season, wasn't he? He's been part of a really good Bournemouth side, and I genuinely believe if he was to come into Leeds United, it's not far from his hometown as well in Sheffield, I think Brooks would be a lovely little signing. So much about these individuals is because Billing, Brooks and Enciso in particular have a higher technical level than someone like Brendan Aronson and Joel Peru. So what you're doing is you're elevating Leeds United in that position, and I'm going to get to exactly why in just a second. And the crazy one, the absolute crazy one, Lucas Bergvall. Now, could Leeds United do something like that? He's at Tottenham Hotspur now. He came in essentially with Archie Gray, and he is a joke. a joke. He's not getting any minutes, basically, though, under Ange Postecoglou. Leeds have built up a good relationship with Tottenham Hotspur. That looks like one that could get done. A magical football player. And as I've just mentioned previously, everybody, all these four central attacking midfielders have a higher level than Brendan Aronson, technically. Aronson, endeavour, energy, a press, recoveries in the final third, could be equal or even higher than these guys, but Aronson is too inconsistent. What you need at this level from a central attacking midfielder is a lock picker and someone who is consistent, as we've seen with a lot of the ballers in central attacking midfield positions over the years. Okay, so the comprehensive review can't just take into consideration players who are coming in. You've got to look at players who are going to be going out as well. And for me, number one, it's going to be Joe Gelhardt. And this almost opens a position, really, in central attacking midfield, if you want to put Gelhardt in that bracket, or a centre-forward position as well. He's been out on loan. He's fourth choice. He's 22 years of age. This has to be the time for Joe Gelhardt to move on. I'd be pushing for a permanent, to be honest with you. And if you can make more than £1 million, you've done a good thing there because you've got Leeds a bit of profit from what they made on him, and it'll only look good on the books. Max Verber now 12.5 million rated. Borussia Mönchengladbach are still apparently chasing him for 8.3 million euros. That's not going to fly from Leeds United. They've got 12.5 on his head. Listen, I don't see Max Verber. He's played 90 minutes against Slovenia the other day, so he's clearly back fit, which is great news, but I don't see him getting back into this Leeds United side whatsoever, especially with the partnership we've got right now. I thought the only way he could start and play for Leeds is if we go to a back three. Farke's not going to do that. I think Max Verber might leave in January, hopefully for a pretty penny. Patrick Bamford, his career is only going one way at Leeds United. Look, if we can send him out on loan, we can get a club to pay a portion of his wages. That's great. He's one of the top earners at Leeds United right now. He's not dependable. He's not reliable. And when he gets on the pitch, he looks completely lost. He's not up to the calibre of a top-end Championship side or even a lower-end Premier League side. Junior Firpo, a lot of you guys won't expect me to say this guy's name. It would be a surprise Leeds United letting him go. Of course it would. But there has been more and more murmurs about Leeds United looking at a left back. When you've got Schmidt there, you've kind of got Byram there and Firpo. It does beg the question, why are Leeds potentially looking at a left back? Now, maybe it's because non-English sides can approach Junior Firpo on a pre-contractual agreement on the 1st of January. But in my opinion, I just can't see Firpo leaving. So there's maybe one there, but I don't see it. The next one, everybody, who potentially leave is Manor Solomon. Now, he's on 54 grand a week, according to reports. I've sort of always speculated it's between 50 and 60. I got told 50, but there's reports stating it's 54 grand a week. For someone who's on the bench, for someone who is coming on and not giving you the greatest product, I understand he's there, but could Leeds even look at a different position? Could Leeds even put that money into a central attacking midfielder if they were to let him go back to Tottenham Hotspur? Or is that depth required? It's definitely something that Leeds will be considering right now, in my opinion, as much as fans want to say it won't happen. Now, we have to look at the ownership perspective right now. We've got a lot of good news out of Angus Kinnear. He's saying that the squad is very, very confident right now. There's a very, very good flow between everybody. It's very fluid. It's a good environment. Now, would they want to interrupt that by bringing other players in? Well, they've always spoken about bringing players in with the right mentality. They've always spoken about bringing players in with the right mindset and who are sort of like not on that ego basis sort of thing where, like, you know, I'm too good for you, I'm too good for this club. The thing is, you've got to have players like that. I think Ramazani is of that. I think Nonto's of that. Those players win you matches because they're confident. I don't think it's arrogance. I think it's confidence, and there is an ego there. But I think they want to keep that environment in a good place. And that is something that Marcelo Bielsa would say consistently as well. But I think you have got to look at some ego players as well, because ego players get you out of this division. And I think sometimes Leeds have been a bit blindsided when it comes to that. But for me, Kinnear's comments the other day of just sort of, they're relative to what he said year on year. It's the fact that Leeds are in a good position. Everybody's harmonious and we're all looking to the future. Okay, that's great. But I still think we need to do business in January. Don't miss out. Now, guys, I want you to let me know in the comment section below about the people that I've mentioned, but I want you to discuss as well the departures, the PSR state that Leeds are in right now, the fact that we have 3 loan spots available. How do you think they're going to approach this? I'm really interested to hear what you guys think. For all the comments as well, I'm going to be looking at them, I'm going to be highlighting them, I'm going to be liking them, and I'm going to be responding. Previously in January, it's not always been ideal for Leeds United. I always feel like we've maybe not taken it as seriously as we should do, but I think when you look at Ipswich last January with the transfers they made, I think the big one was Jeremy Sarmiento in that January period. When you look at Southampton, when they brought in, I believe it was Brooks and Rothwell, they definitely increased that squad depth as well. I think Leeds United have got to take this very, very seriously, not on a sort of whim, not on the fact that we should just be looking at transfers because other clubs are, but you have got to look at the fact that other clubs are definitely going to strengthen, especially if they're not in the position of which Leeds are by that January period. And it's also the competition between clubs, everybody. We know at this period, Leeds will have missed out on players. We know that in January. We can't be that naive. They will have missed out on players in January. They just won't publicise it. We've got to be first, front and centre in these negotiations, because getting us over the line this year is more important than ever with the strain that will be on Leeds United next year. Right, guys, that's been it from me. Make sure you let me know what you think in the comment section below. Check out the videos, all the USA vlogs and all that sort of stuff. Really appreciate your thoughts and content. Guys, you've been an absolute dream throughout this period as well. Make sure you're heading over to Patreon as well for some bonus content. I'll see you in a bit. Cheers.